वैक्सीन के हवाले से मेरा पैगाम आप सब के नाम, सही फैसला करें, सही वक्त पर करें, क़ब्ल इसके कि बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम वस्समाइ ज़ातिल बुरूज वल यौमिल मौऊद वशाहिदिन व मशहूद क़ुतिला अस्हाबुल उख़दूदिन नारी ज़ातिल वक़ूद इज़ हुम अलैहा क़ुऊद व हुम अला मा यफ़अलूना बिल मुअमिनीना शुहूद। सदक़ल्लाहु मौलाना अज़ीम। The verse which I have recited from Surah Al-Buruj, chapter 85, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, by the sky containing great stars, wal yawmil ma'ud, and by the promised day, wa shahidin wa mashhud, and by the witness and what is witnessed, qutila ashabul ukhdud, destroyed or cursed were the companion of the trench, or the companion of the ditch. An-nar dat al-waqud, containing the fire full of fuel, idhum aliha qu'ud, when they were sitting near it, when they sat around it, وَهُمْ عَلَى مَا يَفْعَلُونَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ شُهُودٌ, and they were doing, and they were witness of what they were doing with the believers. وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمْ, the punishment of the believers, why they were punished, why they were burnt, إِلَّا أَن يُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ الْعَزِيزِ الْحَمِيدِ, they believe in Allah, the exalted, the mighty and praiseworthy. So the punishment of these people, the story of king of Yemen, one of the king of Yemen who burnt alive Christian of Najran, and they were difference in number, and some says 20,000. The Christian of Najran burnt by Jew king of Yemen of that time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning the event and the incident, why they were burnt alive, what was their fault, what crime they have committed. They had illa an yu'minu billahi al-aziz al-hamid. Their faith were a problem for them, believing in Allah, the Almighty, the praiseworthy. And I have chosen this surah today, the beginning, without going to tafsir and detail. It is not time for going in detail in all the tafasir and tafasir. When I recited the surah, sometimes the person thinks how someone can kill innocent people without committing any crime, decent people, innocent people. But when we see and what we have seen in Gaza, for 11 days, day and night, attacks on these innocent people, these children, women, civilians in 21st century, and not openly attacks more or less 16,000 strikes in this small strip, Gaza. You can imagine the population of more or less 1.9 million. And if I'm not making mistake, 335 or 365 square meter area. The way they were targeted and very openly, all these things were happening. The world was showing the pictures, destruction of houses, bodies of children and women, civilians. And with all these pictures in one hand, the whole world was observing live. And they were justifying the Israeli authorities that all these things we are doing for self-defense. So when you see these verses of Quran, sometimes you understand the nature of people have not changed. When Allah says, وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمْ, the fault of these people, the qusur of these people, the crime of these people, those were burnt alive, they were only have a difference of faith with the others. They have not committed any crime. They have not done anything wrong. They have not destroyed the houses of these people. They were not in fight with these people. They were not even challenging them. Ordinary civilians, just only the difference of faith. They belong to, the king was presenting the Jewish ideology, and the people of Najran who were burnt alive, they were Christian. So, وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمْ إِلَّا أَن يُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ الْعَزِيزِ الْحَمِيدِ. This was the biggest crime for them, that being a ruler, being a powerful authority, how can you think differently? Not you can do something differently, how you can think differently. When you go to Gaza, to West Bank, I've been few times in Palestine, privately visited with some private organizations to see the situation, what is happening there, especially the Muslim communities. And what you see now, we have experienced. Worldly, they can say these Palestinians are free, but in reality, they are not free. They are living in cage, but in a big cage. They are a stranger in their own areas. The Hisar and siege in their own towns, in their own areas. They are not allowed to go to their own homes and their own families. Even those who are living in Gaza and West Bank or in Al-Quds Sharif, not these people, those who are already second-class citizens, they don't have any rights. They are totally cut off from any world, air, sea, land. They can't connect themselves with the world. And I was reading one article of UNO. The amount Israel is spending from 2007 to 2018 only to occupy the Gaza, the small area, it is 6 times more than the whole budget of Gaza. The whole budget of these 1.9 million people, only the hisar and the expenses just to put them in this big cage and just only to stop them from any interaction with the world via sea, via land, on via air. The amount spent only treating them, na'uzubillah, like animals is 6 times more than the whole budget of Gaza. I mean, some says 107% more than the whole Palestinian GDP. The GDP of Palestine, 107% more they spend it only to put this strip and the people living in this area in cage. To implement their power, their might. For some people, might be a good news today, and it is a good news that they stopped attacking Gaza. But in reality, those who know the ground reality, they are in prison. Whether you fire a rocket or you don't fire a rocket. Whether you use artillery against them or you don't use it. Whether you attack with drone missiles or you don't attack. These people are prisoners. To understand the position of these poor people living in millions, they are in a prison. It is on the disposal of the authority when they want to beat them publicly, when they want to beat them inside, and when they get tired of beating themselves to have a rest, to get more energy. It is their decision how much I should use force against these people, how much I should beat them, and what time should I beat them. Shall I open the door and show it to the people, or close all the doors and do inside job? This is exactly happening with the people of West Bank and Gaza. The world might be thinking now the issue is finished, but it is not. When you see the statistic, the world statistics, people of Gaza, 56% of population of Gaza living below poverty line. 56%, more than half of the population. And this is only the economical side which you can analyze it economically and say, okay, you can do plus minus in dollars, in pounds, in Junaid. But the psychological impact on the people of Gaza, the brutality of Israel, day and night they are facing, the torture, only in this 11 days campaign, more or less 7,000 houses destroyed, completely destroyed or damaged. 184 buildings destroyed or damaged. 33 media houses either destroyed or damaged. And now they are talking about 33 million and billions, how much will cost to build it. You will spend money to build the houses, to build the buildings, but the fear and the terror in the heart of Palestinian children, women, ordinary civilian, is there any cure for it? the way they feel unsecure. No one is there to stop this mighty power of Israel from the blockage, this siege and this hisar. They are still in prison. They decided not to fire rockets, but they have not decided to leave them free and to live the freedom of expression you are using here, the freedom of work, freedom of education, freedom of life, the choices you have, none of them exercised in Gaza. Only one thing is always day and night, terror and fear. The terror of Israel and the fear of Israel. وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمْ إِلَّا أَن يُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ الْعَزِيزِ الْحَمِيدِ. And the fault of these Palestinians, why they are living in their own houses. Why, like other Palestinians, those who left their houses, millions and millions, and migrated to Jordan, migrated to Egypt, migrated to Europe, or they are in refugee camp living, why they are still there in their houses? Why they are not leaving the area for us to have a new settlement, to build new houses, or to increase our population and move them in this area and to complete our occupation and achieve our target? This is the only fault of these Palestinians, and the biggest crime of Palestinians, they are not moving from their own houses. So being in Gaza, you are already criminal. You are already wrong because you are not leaving your house. You are the biggest criminal because you are not leaving your area. You are not going to take refuge somewhere and leave everything like they force others. And as long as you are committing this crime and you are determined that no matter what's happened, I will not leave my house. I will stay where I born and my father born. And there are families in Palestine, not the first generation, not the second generation, not the third generation, the fourth generation living in refugees camp. Fourth generation. Since it started. Could you imagine your son and your grandson and the fourth generation are waiting to go back to their houses, waiting to go back to their areas. So this is a big crime in Israel for Israelis. To think about your houses is a crime. Not to move, not to do something. This thinking is a crime. This mentality of thinking your house in Palestine, in your homeland, where you have the graveyard of your forefathers, where your father or grandfather born and brought up, thinking you belong to Palestine, this is the crime. And the people don't understand what is the issue of Palestine. The issue of Palestine is not these poor Palestinians are doing something. They are not capable of doing something. They don't have power to do something. Their thinking itself is a crime. Why they think they belong to this area? As long as they are thinking and they are living, they will be criminals and they will be treated like criminals worse than animals. So I don't know what the UNO will do after. Yes, for a few days when you don't see the rockets are firing toward Gaza and West Bank and Al-Quds Sharif, you all will be thinking, Alhamdulillah, things are happening good. But no, in reality, ask those who are living there, those who are suffering generation after generation and still waiting, the day will come. The day will come when they will move to their own houses, when their hijrah will finish, the long hijrah, the forced hijrah. But rather than finishing this every single day, Israeli authorities annexing another areas with their own power, with their own strength. This is justice in this world, brothers and sisters. This is called insaf in this world. We normally used to hear that might is right is finished. We live in an educated society, in civilized society. The world has changed. We have UNO, Charter of UNO. You have equal rights. No one can force you. There are some fundamental rights you have as a human being. And even the Europe moved to the rights of animals. And if you remember my last khutbah, they said, no, we have given rights to human beings. Now we have to think about donkeys, camels, animals, havanat. And then we see some groups are talking about waters, jungles, oceans, clean environments. So we have moved to the environments. We talk about fish living in sea, in oceans. We talk about donkey lives in some remote area of third world countries. We talk about animals. They need our help. But in the 21st century, all those who are busy with donkeys and animals and with cats and horses and donkeys, my question, these people living in Gaza, they are not children of Adam. They have less right than these donkeys you are concerned about. They have less right than these fishes living in oceans. They have less right than the environment you are concerned about. And you have organization and day and night you are working. Whenever you talk about these people, children of Adam, human being, where is the humanity? Where is the UNO Charter? It is all looks like nonsense talk. Just only the UNO serving the people of power and their interest. It looks like. Otherwise, when anything happened, any issue related to the superpower, any issue related to superpower, why it is resolved in a days, in hours? Why one single session resolve the problems there and then? Whether it is related to taking on Afghanistan, whether it is invading Iraq on wrong information and dossiers, false dossiers, completely lying and white lying. You have destroyed the countries. But to achieve your target is a matter of days and hours. You can do whatever you want. The resolution is there. Members are there. 5 people have 5 countries and 5 strong nation power of veto. And according to some statistics, America more or less more than 80 times used the power of veto and 45 times related to Palestine. Whenever anyone tried to put in the table any issue of Palestine, before discussion, before decision, before taking resolution, America used the veto power. You can't discuss it. You can't bring it to the table. And for this, you have this power just to serve your own interest and then deceiving the world that this organization is for world, for serving people, for equality, for peace in the society, in the world. Where is peace? Where is rights? Your interest could be served within days, in hours. The Palestinian waiting since 1948, nothing resolved. Kashmir is the same issue. Palestine is the same. Day by day, UN losing its credibility. It just only look like serving the people of power. Unfortunately, there are many things to say. When I was reading the story of this guy, Allahu Akbar, a 133 years disabled guy, 33 years disabled guy in a wheelchair. And they show the picture of his brother. And this is standing. And these three bodies, one this 33 years disabled guy, disabled person, along with his wife and 3 years old child. They couldn't leave each other. They were waiting. They might be saved because they are disabled. They might be saved. They haven't done anything. Even they can't throw the stone towards Israel, which is the biggest crime of the children of Palestinians. Even they are not in the position, so they will be saved. But this disabled person on wheelchair with his pregnant wife and his young little baby died, killed and martyred. Just because he was living in the area where they had every single Palestinian. Otherwise, what this guy, a disabled person, can do to the Israeli army. And these are so many stories. There are so many stories of elderly people, disabled people, young children who can't run. And the story of the people you might heard that the brothers, if they have two sons, they are exchanging with each other. If I die, your son will die with my son, but one son, my son will be alive with you. If you die, at least one of my son will be, along with your son, will survive. So they are exchanging their children with each other. If anything happens, at least the memory remains. The memory, the legacy of your brother will remain. And none of them know when, what time these powers decide to attack the house of these poor people and just put on their numbering one another terrorist being killed. This disabled terrorist being killed along with the pregnant wife and with 3 years old child. 3 terrorists in one day. Not in one day, in one strike. The world conscious, the Zamir of Aqwam Alam, it is very upsetting. My humble request to all of you, we can talk a lot, but one thing, مر منكم منكرا فليغير بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه. We as a civil member of civilized society at least can do what we can very easily. Living here, at least we stand with these Palestinians and show solidarity with these people. And we should tell the world that against all these atrocities and all these zulm, though we live in Europe, we live in America, we live a luxurious life, but it doesn't mean we don't have feeling for these people, or we have any maslaha, or we have any self-interest to hide ourselves, coming publicly and showing our presence. At least we should not compromise on this. At least we should show wherever we can write, we should write. Wherever possible, our presence, we should be present. Those who have a power of speaking, they should speak. Those who have a power of writing, they should write. Those who have a power of presence and they think my presence will be counted, just like in the Nare Namrud, when one sparrow came having some water And someone said, it's a story just to make you understand. Don't look at the authenticity of all these things, but just to make you understand. And when someone asks, you're this few drops of water, how they will contribute to relieve Ibrahim from this fire of Namrud? So the reply was, I know it won't make a difference. I am not making difference there, but I want on the day of judgment, standing in the court of Allah, Ya Allah, when something was happening, I participated according to my ability. According to my ability, I participated. So please, those who can write, please write. Those who can speak, please speak. Those who, we need your presence today. Outside, we are launching campaign. This will be digital campaign going all over the London, inshallah. And we said from here we will start. At least we should show that we are creating awareness is our duty in this society against the false propaganda of Israelis that all these are terrorists or all these are extremists. No, there are innocent people, they are civilian. These are children disabled. And we have to show our strength and our support to these poor people. We are starting outside after namaz. And I'm quite sure none of you will leave without showing your presence for 10-15 minutes outside standing with us. Will you stand with us or not today? Please raise your hand, those who can spare some time. How many can, if you say we are going out and standing with you after namaz? How many? And how many think they have their job, it is more important than these poor Palestinians? Can anyone raise the hand then? Is anyone who think his job is more important than Palestinian? His shop is more important than these lives? Is there anyone? No. So all of you, after finishing salat, we will do dua outside, and we all be standing outside for 10 to 15 minutes, starting this campaign, showing our solidarity, showing our unity, raising our voice against this brutality of Israel, against these poor Palestinians. They should give their right. They should give their right. Stopping missile is not the solution. It's not the end of the story. They are still in siege. They are still treated like animals. They are still living in poverty. Still, they don't have any right. They should be given their right. They should live as any other Israeli living. They should not be considered that, not the second, the third class citizen. This will be the real solution. The occupied areas, they should be given back to the Palestinian, and the UN resolution and the solution which is agreed upon by Palestinian and Israel, it should be implemented without any delay. This will be the right map and right move towards resolving the problems. Not only stopping this one day, and whenever they want, they can launch it again by the name of that we are targeting another terrorist. This is not the way. And this will be our demand, inshallah. So without any delay, we will do, inshallah, azan, salat. And after first salat, I request you, each and every one of you will be standing with us outside and showing and starting this campaign of solidarity with Palestinian, and this campaign of digital campaign to show to the people, to the ordinary people, what is happening on the street of Palestine, what is happening in Gaza, what is happening in West Bank, and what is our responsibility and what we should have to do. Barakallahu feekum.